Alright, this is just going to be a hopefully short video on replacing these seals. We got some random tools here. We got a pick, this is probably the most important one. A little screwdriver. Another small screwdriver. This funny looking chisel. We use these for the big seal here to kind of punch them out. Of course, a hammer. Paper towels. You gotta have lots of paper towels. So these ones are pretty easy, of course, because they're already split. That's just from the factory. It's not like they're already broken. These ones are just sort of pry in with a pick and break them. You can see there's another one underneath here. This one doesn't always get broken, but sometimes it does. Try and wipe off all the old oil if you can. And that one's done for now. These two. So you end up with basically a flat one that goes on the very top. This one's in pieces because we put a lot of heat to this thing to get it to come out. So you never get all the oil off, not without taking a putting it in one of those parts cleaners. But yeah, this rim is pretty chewed up. I'm gonna take a grinder to it and kind of flatten it down, but you're not gonna see that because that's just boring stuff. It's off of a stabilizer on a backhoe, so it gets chewed up from, you know, rocks and stuff. Rocks get caught in there. These usually don't come apart in one piece. So this is what the inner part of it looks like. There's still a plastic ring in there. Or a metal ring, I should say. It's kind of hard to tell that it's in there because it blends in with the rest of the material, but trust me, it's in there. So I just take this little tiny screwdriver. I'm pretty sure this is a snap-on, although it's cut off, so snap-on does make nice equipment. You just want to kind of get in between the bearing and the cast iron. This part literally takes the longest of any aspect of changing these. working better. Yeah. This tool didn't work for the smaller ones. This is probably the biggest, one of the widest ones on the equipment. But yeah, this little well, it's the tool that's designed for it. And you can see it just sort of pushes it down. Sometimes. Just sort of going around the perimeter. You can see I've sort of gone around about a quarter of it. I used a bigger flathead too. And there you go. That's what it looks like after you've gotten it off. Alright, now we're going to do this one. It took me a minute to get these in, remember the orientation, but you can't see it, but this basically has lips on it. And the one that's in here basically has lips on it, and you want them to be facing away from each other. This one doesn't usually come out so easy, but it's pretty heat damaged. Let me tell you, they don't go in nearly as easy as they come out sometimes. The one on the inside, you can see, maybe, if I get this in the right angle with the right light. Trying to find this split. Yeah, that split's supposed to be there. You just try and take advantage of that and get it peeled up. That's a little piece of the one of the ones I took apart before. You can try and get your pick underneath this split. It's usually not really worth it, so I usually just take the pick. And just sort of put it on the edge of the seal and just pound it down with a hammer. You should try and go all the way down to ends up starting to just get underneath it and break it. You're not really using any of these seals, so it's fine as long as you're not putting in big gouges in the metal. I'm sure it'd help if I could see this stuff a little bit better. This one's just plain a little bit hard to get. I'll try this longer screwdriver here. There we go. Yeah, you can see this stuff's pretty thin. But usually once you get one piece broken off, you can just sort of get the rest of it to just come out. Sometimes you gotta fold it, and it will fold. That's how you put them in. But yeah, just real thin, thin material there. Just try and wipe it out a little bit, get some of the crap out. Then I'll grab our seal kit. Alright, so this is our seal kit. Comes with all the seals we just took off, plus an extra one. This is, I'm sure these seal kits service more than one one model, so I'm sure there's a different cylinder out there that takes these, but I don't need them, so I throw them away. Anyways, I'm gonna pause the video and get this thing cleaned up on the edge, so it'll go back together. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can really do about these holes. You can see how much we put an insane amount of pressure on these things, and they just break. But with any luck, I'll never have to change these again. The machine's already 50 some years old, so yeah, hopefully never have to change seals again. Probably not, so bear with me, I'll be back. Alright guys, it's been, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, maybe less, I don't know. I wasn't looking at a clock or nothing. So anyways, I went around the edge here with a flap disc on a grinder, just took off. If I had done this before, you can see I'm rubbing my finger on it. I'd be bleeding by now, but I got all the sharp edges off, all the stuff that's going to interfere with putting it back on. It was definitely rubbing pretty good as we took it off, the first, few turns around. This hole here was kind of smashed in. We couldn't put the tool, which I thought I had to show you, but anyways, yeah, we couldn't use one of these holes, so I got it drilled out a little bit. Got two of them countersunk, the ones that aren't damaged, so now we're ready to start putting in seals. I always like to do this one first for some reason. Get these separated by which ones I need. So this is the first one that goes in the middle groove. Underneath. So you can see it'll just sort of roll in there, and you just sort of Gotta get it to lay flat. So I'll do that one first. I'll put these ones on. You see they snap on pretty easy. I always have to put them opposing so the slots are on opposite sides. This top one that goes in the middle, on the top in the middle, sometimes can be a little bit challenging. And when I first started changing these, because I gotta do pretty much all the cylinders on that machine, we messed the first couple up because we didn't know how to get them on. So definitely got to be careful with these, getting them on. And the kicker is that they actually stretch. You're actually stretching them. So they don't spring back either. But I'll show you how you fix that here when we get to there. This one here can definitely cost you some time as well, getting it on. That can be pretty tedious. It helps too if you just have it barely on the lip. There's definitely a bit of that. This may take a while. I'm going to pause it. We'll get back to it when I have it on. Alright, well that took way longer than it should have. But you can see now I've got it on. It definitely stretched quite a bit. So now we'll just sort of get it down there. But it's like, oh no. See, that's how much it stretched to get big enough to go on here. So of course, that's an issue. So let me show you how you fix that issue. You're gonna want an impact driver. Probably use a drill, but I like an impact driver. And you get yourself two of these, two hose clamps, the appropriate size bit driver. This is a 5/16. And you just well, if your setup will play nice, clearly I need to get new hose clamps. I've used these several times. But you probably know where this is going. Anyways, this is usually enough for the smaller ones that I've been doing, but looks like it's just going to be barely enough for this one. you get it all lined up, and then you just tighten them up on both sides. And then, yeah, I just let it sit while I do the other one. This is what the guys at the hydraulic repair shop said to do. So you can use one of these, or they also make a tool for cylinder rings. Now I had one of those from the stuff I was borrowing, but if you use one before, they're kind of a pain in the butt, and this is just a lot more simpler. So this flat one goes on first, and you just sort of get it under the threaded portion here. And I usually just like to use this pick, get underneath without actually damaging it like that. And these will stretch quite a bit, and I just basically try not to do that. Stretch that enough, now I can just split it over. You want to get it down on the bottom, because this is one of the sealing ones that seals it up against the wall of the cylinder, the other portion. So then, yeah, it's supposed to look like that. So the flat one's on top, the round one's on the bottom. Alright, so this one, I basically just kind of roll into itself a little bit, and then just stick it in like that. Sometimes you just gotta massage it a little bit if it doesn't quite line up and gets flat. I'll basically just stick my thumb in, sometimes both of them, and just sort of push against it and just use the pressure and friction from my thumb to get the two ends to lie flat together. Alright. Now this one can be sort of a pain, especially on the smaller cylinders. I got some lift cylinders on the machine that were about half the size of this thing, and it only had these two. It didn't have that flat one in the middle, and it was just a bugger. But I got it in. But pretty much you just push into the groove. It's a lot easier on the bigger one, let me tell you. Just gonna get the edge of it into the groove, and then just sort of start working it into there. You can see it's already just mostly seated. When you hear that click, that's when you know it's in. That's what it's supposed to look like. So the last one, you can see it's got that metal on it. So you got to pound it in. I usually use this little block of wood to start. It's seen better days, but I've done a few of these. You sort of concentrate on the high side. And then you do that, and you go forage for another block of wood. We'll be back. Well, that didn't take very long. I got another piece of 2x4, so this one I did have to file inside of here a little bit, because and there's still kind of a lip, and that's probably what I'm fighting. But Too bad I don't have a drill bit big enough.